Page 12, the scissors grinder. Now on the previous pages they're talking about whole steps and half steps. You can read about that. I do recommend you know what they are, because we occasionally talk about them and we refer to other stuff as we get more advanced, and we'll say, you know, it's you go down 3 half steps or you go up 4 whole steps or something. Or it's important that you understand what we're talking about, so know what those are. Just know that a half step is the closest distance between any 2 notes, white or black. So between these notes, that's a half step because there's no note in between. Here, that's a half step, half step, half step, half step. 2 notes, okay, any 2 notes, white or black, that's a half step. Whole step is 2 halves, right? So if I take a half step and a half step, put them together, that's a whole step, right? This is a whole step because it's got a note in between. A whole step will have a note in between, right? Whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. There's no note, there's no key in between. How about here? Whole step, because there's 1 key in between. Right? Whole step here, whole step here. This, well, that is a whole step and a half step. A whole step and a half step, 1.5 steps, right? It helps to know that later on, okay? You may not use it now for a while. I don't know why they're introducing it to you already, but they are, so I talk about them. Yay. Talking about accidentals on page 12. An accidental is a sharp or flat or natural that normally does not fall within the key that you're in. What's a key? I'm talking about a key is short for key signature. The key signature is the key you're in, the scale you're in. I've been since the beginning of the book in C major. We're in C position, and we're playing all white notes. C major is all white notes. There are no sharps or flats in C major, because the sharps and flats you start playing the black notes, right? So C major is all the white notes, and that's what we've been in so far. So that's what that is. Now if we start adding sharps and flats in C major, start adding black notes, those are accidentals. Take a look at the second line, 3rd measure. You see that F sharp? There's an F. That's an F sharp. F sharp goes up 1 note, white or black. Okay? 1 note, don't care what it is. If I'm here on an A sharp is going to be the next note up. That's an A sharp. Got it? If I'm here on a B, the next note up is a B sharp. And now you say, whoa, back up. That is a C. What are you talking about? Well, surprise, surprise, most all the notes on the piano have multiple names. So that could be, go up, that is a B sharp, it is also a C, all right? If I have I haven't had flats yet. We'll wait till we get to flats. We're just talking about sharps right now, all right? Take it up 1 note, white or black. And for now, you're going to use the same finger. So if I'm here in this position, and I'd normally use the 4th finger to play the F, when I get to the F sharp, I'm going to use the 4th finger on the F sharp. Okay? So the finger's going to carry the same thing. It doesn't always work that way, but for now, that's the general rule you can follow on fingering. Of course, they tell you what finger to use, but it's nice to understand what's going on, and that's what's happening. The 4th plays the F, therefore the 4th can play the F sharp. Now, when they introduce a sharp, flat, or natural in a measure, and they're not saying natural yet, but I'm trying to be complete, all right? You can forget naturals for now if you want. Sharp or flat, when they introduce them in a measure like this, it's only good from that point on for that measure. So it's that part of the measure throughout the rest of the measure. Once you get a bar line, that cancels it out. So that F sharp that's in there, once I go to the next measure, it's gone. The F sharp is canceled. So the F in the next measure is an F natural. It's not an F sharp anymore. If they wanted it to be an F sharp, they'd have to put in another sharp sign in front of it. They do flats too. Sharps or flats. There is a flat in here. Oh goody. Let's do flats then. Sharp went up, a flat goes down. Okay? Take a look at the last line, first measure. In the left hand, you have a B flat. There's a B. There's a B flat. It goes down. So, right? B, B flat. G, G flat. Whatever. Here's a C, C flat. See? So that B could be a C flat. The C could be a B sharp. They have multiple names. Alright? This note right here, that could be an A flat, or it could be a G sharp. The same difference. So it serves two purposes. I mean, it's an A flat or a G sharp. They have multiple names. Got it? Got it. Just take it as it comes. You'll get the idea. So, since in C position, the first measure of the last line, since I would normally play the second finger for the B, I'm going to use the second finger on the B flat. They tell you to do that. I'm trying to explain why, alright? So you can understand that. Now there are also, as if you don't have enough to remember, introducing the hairpins at the bottom of the page. Those two sideways arrows, we call them hairpins. They mean get louder or softer. Crescendo is get louder. Decrescendo is get softer. All right, we're back to the Italian nonsense again. I do it this way. You read across the page. I don't know which direction you're going. Okay, I'm going this way. All right. If the arrow starts at a point and gets wider, you get louder. If the arrow starts with the lines apart and gradually comes together to a point, you get softer. So as you're reading, the arrow's going one direction or another, and that's the direction you go. Right? The wider the lines get, the louder you get, sort of. But that's the idea. Take, for instance, the last line. The first measure, you have that hairpin, and then the last two measures, you have the other hairpin. So I'm just, in one line, I'm going to start out medium loud. No, I'm soft. I'm soft at this. It's piano, I'm soft. So I'm going to start out soft, and then a little louder, and then louder. And stay there. Now a little softer, softer. You follow the hairpin and getting louder and softer. You have to work it out. How loud or how soft do you get? I don't know. You have to experiment and what makes sense for that situation. At the beginning of the next to the last line, it's P. It's marked P. That means piano. That's soft already. So you're starting out soft, and then you get louder. Maybe just a little louder. You don't have to get really loud, okay? It depends on the mood of the piece. And then you gradually come down in the end. And I would assume you're going to end up soft again. That way, okay? So let's try the scissors grinder and see what happens. They haven't given you any phrasing, so you have to look at the words. You'll see that the first sentence ends at the end of the last measure of the second line on the half note. Therefore, the phrase is ending on that half note. That quarter note starts a new phrase, so we need a slight break in the sound in the right hand between those phrases. The left hand is holding a note down. You can't get a break in the sound when it's down like that, so you leave it down. But the right hand can. So you have it here on the G. Before I play the F, I want a little bit of silence. 2. And that phrase goes to the end of the third line. You see the exclamation point? It's the end of a sentence. So a break in the sound between the D and the E. You don't have to have a break in the sound in the accompaniment. It's the melody that needs to break in the sound. Sometimes it will be both, but it's not, and right now it's not important. So in that last measure of the third line, it is here. I could break both hands if that's easier for you. That's fine. Do them together. Okay, do them together. And then the last line is a phrase in itself. So let's try this and see what happens. Need to go over this a few times. If you have to play it with me one hand at a time for a while, that's fine. Do that. That's great. No problem with that. Anyway, you're starting out in a new position. We're not going to start out in C position like we have been. This time we're starting out in what's known as middle C position. Middle C position is where both thumbs share middle C. Right there, all right? That causes a problem. Oh, here we go again. The keys on a keyboard are not wide enough to accommodate 2 fingers on most people, unless you have real little fingers. And you don't need to use 2 fingers to push a key down. So what we do is one thumb or the other gets to play the C. If the left thumb needs to play the C, then the right thumb gets out of the way. If the right thumb needs to play the C, then the left thumb gets out of the way, and that's the way it works. The other fingers are fine. So we're in middle C position in this piece. So 3/4 time, so I will give you 3 counts, right? Bring out the melody. Try and do the phrasing if you can. 1, ready, go. Two, three, off.